Welcome to Alu Speaks with Alu Patience. Today we'll be discussing the topic organizational growth. This is the fourth topic on Modus 4 in the course Corporate Finance. If you have not watched my previous topics, I would advise you to do so. I'm aware that most of us here do not have a business-oriented background. However, do not worry. I'll be breaking today's class to be as simple as ABC. At the end of today's class, we should be able to define organizational growth, state the objectives of organizational growth and types of organizational growth. We should be able to understand the ways organizational growth can be achieved and the challenges facing organizational growth. We should also be able to learn and itemize the stages in which organizational growth is achieved. Organizational growth, a growing organization. This is the process by which a business increases over time. This means that the company is getting better as it ages. This goes to show that organizational growth is continuous. It is a never-ending process where the firm strives to be better not only in size but in other areas. Why do we strive to attain organizational growth? Why do we want our organization to grow? The reason why we want our organization to grow is to achieve overall value maximization. By overall value maximization, I mean maximization in all areas. So what is this overall value maximization? It means that we want increase in all areas. We want to get better in all areas that concerns the organization. Like we want to increase our size, economies of scales. We want to increase our shareholders' wealth, which is one of the primary objectives of corporate finance. We want to be able to compete favorably in the market and if possible even achieve market dominance so as to enhance our overall survival rates. We want to grow in efficiency so as to increase the reputation of the firm. That is, we want to give a signal of success to the public and attract potential investors. We want our profits to increase. And of course, our owners, that is the founders and the shareholders, they want to become wealthy. If we add up all these reasons why we want our organization to grow, we say what? It is all about achieving overall value maximization. Some school of thought even says that without growth, we would not be able to accommodate the ever-increasing expenses that develops over time in the life of a business. As it's not always possible to pass over increase in cost to customers. Some people ask, how is there increase in expenses over time? Increase can be due to inflation. It's not controllable by us, and this can also lead to a rise in administrative expenses. And when we do decide to expand, it has its own related expenses. Let's not forget that increase in employee salaries is inevitable as they gain seniority. If you are still here, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit on the notification bell and drop a comment or two if you need more clarity. Organizations, they can grow internally and they can also grow externally. By internal growth, I mean growth within the firm. And by external growth, I mean growth as a result of activities outside the firm. Some of the ways to achieve organizational growth is through plug back of profit. That is retained earnings. And we know that retained earnings is an internal source of financing. Another way to grow is through launching of new products and even expanding of existing products. That is increasing production capacity.
Also,
Selling off old winners. That is investment that were previously performing marvelously, but its NPV is now declining. Such old winners are sold off to open doors to new potential winners. Another way to grow is through protecting our intellectual properties, through licensing, to prevent theft and hijack of such intellectual properties by our own competitors is also a right way to go. Remember that in one of our previous topics, we said that internal growth has a limit, after which external growth is imperative. Although external growth is more riskier than internal growth, it is a necessary step to take in the life cycle of the organization. Some of the ways to achieve external growth is through collaboration and joint venture alliances with other firms so as to achieve synergy. And when growth is stagnated, or the company is presumed to be poorly managed and even dying, we can continue growth of that organization through mergers and outright acquisition. External financing, that is financing the firm from the financial market and financial institutions, also pushes us beyond where retained earnings cannot. And this opens doors to new opportunities that were previously inaccessible because of our limited internal finance. And this leads to faster expansion. From what we have been discussing, we can easily pick out the determinants of organizational growth. Some of the internal determinants includes management efficiency and strategies, availability of financial resources and technology, and of course, its retention policies. Let's not forget that the organization does not live in a vacuum. So some external factors also serve as a determinant for its growth, such as economic condition in the country in which it is situated, government policies, competition, and even market demand. Apart from comparing informations in the financial statement, that is, apart from analyzing the financial statements to measure organizational growth in monetary terms, there are other parameters you can also use for measuring organizational growth, such as the increase in the market share, physical expansion in terms of buildings and asset growth rates, even increase in the numbers of employees, and success of a product line are being used to measure organizational growth. Another way is comparing our current position against our set goals. So what are the steps to achieve organizational growth? We can discuss this according to John Maxwell in his books, Developing the Leaders Around You, or through the Grenier Scope model. John Maxwell gave us 10 questions to ask concerning organizational growth. They include: has the organization made any specific commitments to develop and grow people? Is the organization willing to spend money to develop employees' growth? Is the organization willing to make changes to keep itself and its people growing? Does the organization support leaders willing to make difficult decisions necessary for people's personal growth and the growth of the organization? Does the organization place an emphasis on production rather than position or title? Does the organization provide growth opportunities for its people? Do organizational leaders have visions and share it with its people? Does the organization think big? Does the organization promote from within? Are there other leaders in the organization willing to pay the price of personal sacrifice to ensure their growth and the growth of others? I would advise you to remember these 10 questions. Grenier's growth model is another framework to describe the growth of organizations over time and the challenges they face in each stage of their growth. This model believes that organization goes through 6 stages of growth as it evolves. The first phase is the creativity phase. Here, management and communication is informal and is centered around the founders of the organization, as he is the major decision maker, as he is innovative driven. But as the organization grows, he becomes overwhelmed with the workload, and this leads to a leadership crisis. Therefore, he needs to hire professional management to handle the increasing workload for him. This brings us to the second phase, direction. Now that professional management has been brought in and a formal structure introduced and functional department created, growth through direction is being achieved. But that will also get to a stage. Lower staff employees will start to feel restricted and start to seek independence, and this leads to an autonomy crisis. And the solution for this is for management to delegate some of its authority and decision-making freedom to the lower staff employees. And this delegation takes us into the third phase of its growth. As decentralization has solved the autonomy issue and the business has started to grow again, But this will eventually lead to a control crisis because senior management that have delegated their authorities may now start feeling like they are losing control. Therefore, the solution to this is coordination. This coordination takes us into the fourth phase in the life cycle of the organization. Here, the senior management, they create a formal system of standardized procedures where the head office monitors divisions. But this will eventually create red tapeism. Now, the organization needs to focus on more flexible and simplified ways to encourage collaboration. This brings us to the fifth phase in the growth of the organization. That is growth through collaboration and teamwork. This reduces the hierarchy issues and the bureaucracy issues. And the organization continues to grow until it hits the growth crisis. Remember, I said that internal growth is limited, after which the only solution is to seek growth externally. What we are saying here is that the solution to limited internal growth is growth through alliances. And growth through alliances is the sixth stage in the life cycle of the organization. By growth through alliance, we mean that the company goes into strategic partnership and mergers with other organizations and enter into outsourcing of its resources as well as its finance. What I'm saying here is that we are now looking beyond the traditional boundaries of the organization. Note that getting to the sixth stage does not mean there will be no further crisis. There will be crisis, and this crisis is dependent on the external parties and the complexity that relates to them. What we are saying here is that growth creates problems. Growth creates crisis. Every new stage introduced, it also comes with a new challenge. And that the management style that works for small firms may fail in large ones. And we have seen that crisis is necessary as they force organization into transformation. From the discussion we have been having, we can easily pinpoint the problems facing organizational growth. We can see that growth led to the dilution of control from the hands of the founders to the hands of top management and even to junior management as tasks became more complex and increased simultaneously. And this led to a challenge in communication. That formal communication structure has to be implemented because the demand for expansion was stressful on the founders. And the business now require much effort and planning in order to sustain growth. And we also know that rapid growth can also lead to cash flow problems, poor management control, increased operational complexities, and even cultural clashes in cases of forced mergers or forced takeovers.